where do you begin to transform your gut?
In your mouth.
Your mouth?
Honestly, it's connected. And the stomach doesn't have teeth. We inhale food, don't we, almost? We don't actually go, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to relax, I'm going to eat, I'm going to chew.
Everything's on the go.
It takes a lot of effort.
On this episode of Spill the Tea with LLIB, we have the amazing Ruth Tansey.
So, can you share with our listeners a little bit more about your business and the unique aspects that set it apart?
I think, personally, what sets us apart is my history. So I came into this business because of my own health issues. So I had really been suffering with gut health for, I reckon, probably about 15 years prior to coming into the industry. So I worked in corporate world previously. I had incredibly stressful jobs. They weren't always really stressful, but they evolved to be really quite stressful jobs. And yeah, that really impacted my gut health. And probably from the age of 15, I'd had awful bloating, but not just like a bit of bloating, like where it's just painful and you just look pregnant and it's uncomfortable and nothing fits. You feel horrible all the time. You're in a bad mood. I was always in a bad mood. And I had constipation, so my bowel would move like once a week. And I was constantly knocking on the GP's door, trying different medications. I got diagnosed with IBS. I don't know if you've heard of that, irritable bowel syndrome. So it's quite common in this day and age. But knowing what I know now, I didn't have IBS. I had 2 symptoms of IBS. I didn't have the whole, everything, the Rome criteria of what it is, to have IBS and all those other symptoms that go with it. My gut health kind of went on and on and on, and it turned into, chronic fatigue syndrome, and it turned into skin rashes and food allergies and things like that. But I think why my business does well, or why I'm still here, I suppose, over 10 years on, is people relate to me and they can resonate with my journey. And I think because I really want to help people as well, like I don't want anyone to suffer the way I did. Like I feel like I lost my 20s and my 30s being in pain, being miserable, not being able to wear the clothes that I wanted to wear. Like even you think about, I loved music and I loved going clubbing. And every single weekend that we would be going out somewhere and you'd think, oh, I'd love to wear a bodycon dress. Could never wear a bodycon dress ever. And I'd be looking at all these girls just looking so gorgeous and thinking, I could never. I would just literally look pregnant. Yeah. There was no chance of me ever being able to put anything on like that. And I was constantly holding myself in. So I was constantly breathing in because it felt uncomfortable I couldn't fit into anything if I didn't. So that it was not a nice place to be for quite a lot of years for me, but it's got me to where I am today. And it's a strange experience to look back and see where I've come from, I suppose. And I think for a long time, I didn't actually believe that I could be healthy, or I could open my bowel every day. God, it's like the most natural thing in the world, isn't it? And we know we don't talk about poo. Well, we do in my clinic. We talk about poo every day. But a lot of people, it's a bit of a taboo subject.
It's not normalised, is it?
No, and it's not. And I think, there's so many women who do struggle with that. And I find that it's younger girls, or actually when people are approaching the menopause or through perimenopause, that those changes, hormonal changes happen, and that really can trigger off bloating, especially for a lot of women, have a lot of issues with bloating. And I think that for me was like I resolved my constipation at one point, and I'd always associated my bloating with that. Yeah. And then I was like, but my bowel's moving every day now. Like, why am I still bloated? Like, what is this? And there was just so much more to it to uncover.
And what was it?
Well, when I, so if we think about where I came from, and it was always medical model, try every medication, have every kind of procedure under the sun, cameras stuck everywhere, let's see what's going on, lots and lots of tests and everything. frustratingly coming back being normal. Well, it wasn't normal because, you know, I'm living proof that it's not normal. I was put on laxatives for years on end because of my constipation. And I was told on one of my colonoscopies, the results that came back was that I had this discoloration of my colon was the only thing that they'd picked up through laxative abuse. I was like, I wasn't abusing myself with laxatives. I was prescribed them.
Wow.
So that was, you know, not a nice place to be. When I decided that enough was enough, like I said, I worked in corporate world. It got incredibly stressful. And I decided I need to do something. I have to change this. So I decided to train as a nutritional therapist. Now, I'd probably been using food as medicine for 10 years prior to this. So for me, understanding all these foods that I was eating that I actually thought were healthy weren't. And I was like, it was a massive eye-opener to me. So I was just kind of got rid of everything, focused on nutrition, on using food. Now, I've not mentioned this, but I had an eating disorder as a child. So I'd spent many years not eating or eating the wrong things and then throwing up. So now what I wanted to do was nourish my body and understand about food as medicine and vitamins and minerals that you need for your skin and your hair and energy and all those things that are so important to us. So I put myself into college to study nutrition therapy, and I went into, I think it was in my first year, I went into the year 2 clinical student clinics where I did my very first comprehensive stool test. Now I use the stool test, a very similar one, in my clinic today to identify what's going on with people. So every single marker on there for me was shocking.
Yeah.
And I was like, how on earth is everything coming back normal with my GP and with all the hospital stuff, apart from a slow transit test time, which, you know, basically told me I had constipation. Well, we knew that anyway. It was just unbelievable. So then I could start working on the imbalances in my gut. And it took a long time. I was so sensitive. I got to a point where I was carrying food bags around with me with just the safe foods that I could eat. I was scared to death of eating food, and it wasn't because I was suffering with an eating disorder anymore. It was because I was going to have a massive flare up. I was going to react. I was going to be uncomfortable. So I couldn't go out and eat food like a normal person. So I felt like a bag lady. And I would just be carrying this bag around with all this food that I could eat, which was quite boring. A lot of it was boring food that, and that was just surviving food.
Survival.
That must have been really hard for other people to understand as well. That you know, God, the backlash that you must have had for that. Yeah, you know, because I mean, God, you only have to say that you're not drinking, don't you? And people are like, you know, what? Like, why? What's up? What's the matter? You know,
I gave up alcohol for a whole year. So when I identified with this test that I had candida. So candida is like a yeast infection. So I had 25% candida of the gut.
Wow.
Yeah. So I decided, I came off the contraceptive pill. I stopped drinking alcohol. Those were about the only things still left in my diet. And I did this. In fact, no, I'm lying. It wasn't the test. It was prior to the test. Because then after a whole year of being, you know, so strict with everything, and I was like, right, I've done a year now. I can now go back to like eating normally and have a glass of wine. And I remember just ordering something that was reasonably healthy, which was maybe a salad with some feta cheese or something. And it was mortifying. It was like, I've just spent a whole year. How can this be? How can it be that this is this instant reaction the minute I put anything that's not in my bag in my mouth? So later on, obviously then going through nutrition therapy and understanding about gut health and about the digestive system and all these other things was, and candida especially, and how to get rid of yeast, I just put it into hibernation for a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So the minute I had something, I went, whoa, here I am.
Yeah. Back again.
Party time. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been
what a journey.
Hard, especially with other people's opinions. You must have got a lot of people telling you you should try this or you should do that.
Do you know, I suppose I was quite lucky in a way. My partner at the time was very supportive. And I guess the friends that I'd made were then the people who I was surrounded with, who I was studying with. So they had an understanding. My friends from back home, so I'm originally from Yorkshire, they did it. Well, they knew I was a royal pain in the ass whenever we were going anywhere, but they don't just always ask me, we're thinking of booking here, have a look at the menu.
Yeah.
Is there something that you can eat on there? And a lot of the time what I would do to sort of save face I'd ring the restaurant and be like, I'm gluten-free, I'm dairy-free, I'm yeast intolerant, X, Y, Z. Is there anything on your menu? Because I didn't want to get there and it be royally embarrassing or just, be coming across as being really awkward. So I've been vegetarian since I was 9, so I was kind of used to being a bit of the awkward one, but I didn't want to be
even more
so. Yeah.
Wow, what a journey. So what services do you now offer to support people in the same situations
within the clinic? At the clinic we do nutrition therapy. So that's understanding all about food, what people should eat, what they are eating. We give them a 7-day food diary, which we analyse. And it's really about opening up that dialogue and understanding not just what they're eating, but habits. So timings for when you eat and what's coming up. And we also are asking for symptoms as well. So energy and mood and bowel movements, because that a lot of the time that relates to what you're eating, when you're eating. So that's one aspect of it. And then obviously the guidance and the support that comes after that with people. I don't do any kind of one-off appointments anymore like I used to. I'll do an initial consultation, and then if you want to work with me, we work on a program so I can work and support you and make sure that you reach your health goals. We do colonic hydrotherapy or colonic irrigation. So there's not enough people that do this treatment, and I'm going to be completely honest, like I was a little bit embarrassed of doing it. Not having it done, but probably actually having it done. I don't think I used to tell people, like when I was early 20s, having it done. And I can remember being in a work situation where people were laughing about it, going, oh my God, she had that tube stuck up her bum. Oh my God, would you ever? And I just thought, I didn't actually say then, no, I do. I have to have that done because I have awful constipation. I was just like, oops. Don't find out that I've had it done kind of thing, which is awful, isn't it? So I'm very open about it now, but it has taken me a while.
So what does it do?
It flushes the system. So if you think a lot of people have waste stuck in there, even people who, funnily enough, are opening their bowel on a daily basis, have a lot of waste. I remember having a chap who came, he was a painter and decorator, very slim, very active, obviously, because he's on his feet all day. He did say he didn't probably drink enough water, but other than that, pretty healthy. And he'd been having horrendous back problems, and he'd gone to the hospital eventually, had a scan, he'd been on a wait list for however long, had this scan done, fecal impaction.
Wow.
Moved his bowel every day, and I've had loads of clients like that.
Wow.
So it's clearing out, but it's also helping to restore the functionality of the bowel as well. So because mine was so lazy, you think it's a muscle. So every time I fill someone with water, it's opening up, and then it's contracting. So it's kind of putting that strength and that tone back into the bowel and getting the brain and the gut to communicate again, because a lot of the time that's what happens, like when you're royally constipated or stressed and you're in your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, rather than being in your parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest, then things shut down. That communication that we need to go, oh, there's waste sat here that needs to be evacuated, that doesn't happen. So it just sits there. So over time, we can have these pockets of waste, like hard waste, sat in sections of the bowel. And then the rest of it can be moving until at some point, for some people, it just builds up and up and up and up and up until there's a dam.
Yeah.
And then it's breaking through that dam.
God. I feel like my husband has no breaking of any dam because he's on that toilet very regularly for about 25 minutes at a time. Yeah. And whether it's just a bit of him time, I don't know.
Do you know, I think
he does like that time, but I mean, there's no impact in there. There's no fetal impaction in him.
No. And that could be. It could be.
Just his me time.
I mean, it's one of those where we don't want to be overly going to the toilet and we don't want to be not going in off.
I'll have to tell him that.
All about balance. But I see a lot more men now.
Do you?
Clinic.
Oh, that's really good.
A lot more men. Well, it's good and bad, isn't it? It's men are being impacted by stress.
Some men don't talk about things, so do they? And they don't put themselves forward, especially for, things like that. They'd be like, oh no, I'm fine, I'm okay, So that's good that, you are getting...
younger guys as well now. Like,
is it uncomfortable?
20s, 30s. I'm not going to say that it's like going to be the most pleasant experience you've ever had in your entire life. I try and make it as relaxing as possible. And there'll be a lot of people, like if you read the reviews, will say, it was actually quite relaxing. Yeah. Dead nervous before they actually come to have it done. It's fear of the unknown at the end of the day. I don't think I would have ever gone to have it done had I not had an issue. But I do have people come to the clinic who just want to detox.
Yeah. And I suppose
just want to detox, just want to be healthy and almost like just want to do a bit of a reset. Maybe I've been on holiday, I've had a bit of food that I wouldn't normally eat and I just want to feel better. I mean, I used to get asked all the time if I'd had a facial after I'd had a colonic because if you've got to think you're flushing through your liver, the whites of your eyes sparkle, your skin's glowing. Yeah, you sleep
like this
better,
needs to be
your
like into that routine now. Don't go for a facial, just book in with Ruth.
Exactly. An in-facial. We do facials from the inside at our clinic.
Facials from your bum.
Shine from the inside out.
I love that. That's amazing. So what do you find most fulfilling then about the work that you do? Obviously the glowiness of clients and the happiness of them, but what's the most fulfilling to you?
For me, it's when a client comes to us who's had their horrendous health journey. Yeah. So I'll give you an example of one lady who, bless her, wouldn't eat food until 3:00 or 3:30 when she got home because of the flare-up, because of the need to rush to the toilet, could never be kind of caught short outside, fear of her going on holiday, getting on a flight, the what-ifs. What's it going to be like then on holiday? How am I going to go out and eat at a restaurant and then? So it, when it impacts someone's life to that extent, then you work with them and they don't have that anymore. They can eat when they want. They can wear what they want. They lose a bit of weight. They start feeling great. It's that for me is what, just really gives me that.
It's like living, isn't it? It's like you giving them the gift of life and living their life.
Completely. I had one lady who she'd retired and her retirement was supposed to be, this magical place, and it wasn't. And she was really, really struggling, and she'd had gut health issues, but I think the whole stress of retirement had kicked it off even more so. And when she came to me, she'd also was working with a consultant. She had loads of tests done, and again, similar situation to a lot of my clients, everything comes back normal. And yet we'd done an allergy test, we'd done a stool test, we'd done a SIBO breath test, and everything had come back positive. And the minute I started working with her, but I'd say give it 4 to 6 weeks. And she was like, no longer need my nana nap in the afternoon because we'd identified the food triggers, my bowels moving because she was up for doing the colonics and up for cleansing, and she just followed my advice, and we worked really closely with regards to coaching. So I do wellbeing coaching as well as nutrition. Yeah, because I think there is a lot of that. Yeah, absolutely identifying, and I think that's the thing for me. I, for so many years, just looked at the physical. Yeah, and I think it's just been brought up. Oh, you're poorly, you go to the doctors, you take a pill, and you crack on.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a massive journey of then falling into coaching. I actually went into coaching because my dad wasn't well. And I thought, oh, something popped in my inbox. And I thought, chronic fatigue. I wonder if that's my dad. Maybe I can learn something. Maybe I can help him. And then I did the 4 modules and went, oh my God, that's me. Yeah. It wasn't my dad. I did the questionnaire on him. No, nothing to do with him. All me. Me. I was like, that's an eye-opener. So then it made me really start looking at my journey and what I was doing to myself. That then led me on to yoga. So I trained as a yoga teacher, and I really wanted to understand about pranayama, which is the breath work for reducing cortisol, because I thought my cortisol's just through the freaking roof.
Yeah, as are many women.
Oh my gosh, yeah, completely.
Wow.
So if there was some top tips for transforming your gut, I'm just looking at your book on the table there. Yes. What would be your top tips? Where do you begin to transform your gut? You know, we obviously know
your book in your mouth.
In your mouth.
Your mouth.
Honestly. Yeah, it's connected. Yeah. And the stomach doesn't have teeth. Because we just walk around, we inhale food, don't we? Or most people do.
Yeah.
You know, we don't actually go, oh, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to relax, I'm going to eat, I'm going to chew.
Everything's on the go.
It takes a lot of effort. So digestion starts in the mouth. That would be my number 1 tip. Like, really focus on chewing your food thoroughly, like I didn't used to. And I used to drink pints of water because I thought, oh, that'll help me. That'll help just kind of me to digest my food. No, it doesn't. There isn't any research that says that it actually dilutes enzymes, even though that is what I've heard. But for me, I know if I drink a lot around a time when I'm eating, I just massively bloat, as you would think. Well, of course. And there's got to be some interference with your digestion. At the end of the day, you need your stomach acid, you need your enzymes. And we engage through eating, through sight, smell. So it's the understanding of, use your brain. What are we about? Oh, we're going to have some fat. We're going to have some protein. We're going to have some carbs. Right, okay, so what do we need to release then? And allowing those signals to come through. If you grab a sandwich, you're out and about, you just grab a sandwich from a shop and it's in and it's down, where's that time to communicate, to say, oh, right, protein coming in, fat's coming in? It's like, what the hell has just entered into my stomach? Not a clue. Sorry, you're on your own. And it'll just sit there. And that's why people can feel so uncomfortable after eating, because there's just not gone through the normal process of, you know, before convenience food. What it would have been, how long would it have taken to cook a meal?
Yeah.
To prepare it and to cook it.
Your body knows it's coming.
Your body knows.
Do you think that's
coming.
with screens as well? So I'm really, you know, it doesn't happen at home, but if we go out, or if, you know, we're going out with other adults or other couples, and the kids will be like on their iPads and we'll be talking as adults and they'll be just doing their thing. Do you think having a screen and your mind focusing on that, it's not focusing on the eating? So remove screens from
you need to be in rest and digest rather than fight or flight. And fight or flight will be whenever we're doing anything,
doing something
that takes our focus off the digestive system. There will be an element of you've switched gears and it will reduce that ability. So
everything's just so fast, isn't it?
I know.
Everything's fast paced.
When I'm at work, I literally, if I'm going to eat my food at work, I always take my food to work. Like I'll prep it the night before and I'll just heat it up in the pan and then it's in like a thermos, or if it's a salad, if I'm going to take it, I'll literally shut my laptop because it's too tempting.
See, I don't.
I'll just do this. We've always got stuff to do. Like women in business will always have stuff to do. It can wait. Like digest your food. So sometimes I'll sit with my back, I'll turn the chair around, I'll sit with my back to my laptop, or I'll sit in one of the comfy chairs away from, and it's like, no, just
Yeah, stop
Eat
a second.
Like just focus on what you're doing.
Focus on what you're doing.
Like multitasking.
Be more productive
absolutely.
afterwards. Nothing's that important that you can't support your health, because that's it. At the end of the day, you're supporting your health. So every single nutrient that you are going to digest from your food is going to feed every cell and every organ, because every organ is cells,
of course, in
your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're experiencing any kind of issue with your gut or with your health in general, I think about the food you're eating.
Yeah.
And think about your lifestyle.
So are there any top foods we should be eating? Or is it very personal?
Sauerkraut, fermented.
Really?
Fermented foods, which I've brought some with me today and it's leaked in my bag.
Oh no.
I'm glad I didn't put it on my lap. I always do it with the red cabbage as well, so that would have been a royal mess.
Especially with white pants.
But people will be thinking, oh, well, what to have sauerkraut with? So I've literally done, and it was a real quick thing for me last night, a bed of spinach. It's already washed. It comes in the bag washed. Put the sauerkraut on top. Raw mushrooms, chopped them up, put them on. Handful of raw walnuts. A load of hummus. Oh, and some parsley in there as well. I mean, that took me no time because it's just all there. Done. It's so tasty.
Yeah. And in the book, have you got recipes in the book?
Yeah, so it's kind of 50% information. Like the majority of things that I find in my clinic. So a bit about the digestive system, how it works, a bit about the key things that I come across, not every single thing that affects a gut, but a lot of the things that are quite common. And then the rest of the book, it's plant-based recipes. Now, I'm vegetarian, so clearly I'm not going to put meat dishes in there, but I do give education around. If you want to eat meat, look for this, like grass-fed meat, wild, caught fish, rather than factory farmed, to get like the healthier options, like organic free range, ideally, because the healthier the animal, the healthier their meat. Because when they were properly free range, we'd have had to run after them.
100%.
They would have been so fit. They would have been so much more protein and a lot less fat, and they would have been a lot more nutrients because they would have ate and foraged and, ate really good food, rather than now, unfortunately, we feed them awful food. We just want, like, for example, chickens that are factory farmed to just grow so quickly that they can't even stand up on their own legs, which is hideous. They're crammed into these awful confined areas. Like, I'm a huge, animal welfare enthusiast, I suppose you would say. I support a lot of animal charities, and I just think if you're going to eat meat, then be mindful of where it comes from for your own health, but also think about the journey that the animal's had. It has feelings. It knows what's happening to it. So it's just being mindful. And I think a lot of people eat way too much meat than what they need to. And we could make some changes for our health in that respect. Yeah. So lots of plant-based recipes, all gluten-free, dairy-free, some yeast-free, and some, have you heard of low FODMAP?
No.
So FODMAPs are these highly fermentable carbohydrates that, for a lot of people, if they have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, so in the small intestine, that they need to avoid, because essentially they have too much bacteria in the small intestine, and that's where we do all our breaking down of our food. So if you've got too much bacteria there, you're going to bloat. You might have diarrhea, you might have constipation. So there's a lot of recipes that will identify that they are the low FODMAP recipes. Now, I'm not saying be on a low FODMAP diet for any length of time, because it's not healthy. There's a lot of very, very healthy foods that are very high FODMAPs, garlic and onions being kind of like top of the tree. So it's about identifying, yes, I do have SIBO, get rid of it, follow the diet for that period, and then resume a normal, healthy, balanced diet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
What does the future look like for you? And if you could be remembered for one thing, what would that be?
So my future, what I'm hoping for. So I trademarked the business. I think it was just during or just after lockdown. So in the run up to lockdown, I was looking at franchising the business. And I think probably with my coaching as well, I wanted to be able to, the next stage of my business, to really work with women who want to make a change, maybe had a similar background to me where they're not happy in corporate world, it doesn't suit them, but maybe they've had their own challenges with their gut health and therefore they can resonate. Just to work with them to be able to see more Movida and health clinics, across the UK, where I can help and support more women needing gut health help, and also women in business who want to maybe just change what it is that they're doing and do something that's rewarding. I never really felt like what I was doing previously was rewarding. I felt, when I was younger, I wanted to be this big career woman. I wanted to do fashion buying and, and you just kind of feed yourself the things that you think you want. And then the reality is so different. And it was just unbearably stressful. Not that I ever went into kind of the fashion world. I don't think that would have suited me at all. But just being, in corporate world and the demands and the pressures and the targets and things like that just didn't suit me. So I would like to... I'd like to see myself kind of, in a different role, I suppose, in supporting women in business and creating, I suppose, my health clinics all over the UK where we can help just create a better, healthy environment for people. And I think what I would want to be remembered for is just helping transform people's lives through restoring their gut health. Yeah, because it's huge. I think if you don't have your gut health, you're not going to have health anyway, which is why the book originally was Transform Your Gut Program. And then I thought, and it was IBS, is it really? Yeah. And I thought, but then that's really not speaking to everybody. And to be honest, and this was, I only changed the title of it a few weeks before we actually launched. And I was like, no, because gut health is everything. 100%. And there's so much about it now, isn't there, in the media? I think people have a little bit more understanding of gut microbiome. It's not like a foreign word anymore, and that we need these microbes in our gut to be diverse and healthy in order to offset diseases, cancer and heart disease and diabetes and all those things that we want to avoid. So the more we can do that, and my whole kind of mission, I suppose, with the book, not everyone can afford to come and see me privately, but actually it's a bit of a self-help book. There's lots of questions about trying to identify for you personally what it is that's causing your issues, and talking a lot about stress, and there's coaching techniques and things like that in there as well. There's yoga in there. So there's just specific ones for helping alleviate gut issues, and, bit of meditation. And so I'm hoping that the book, for a lot of people will be, well, if you can't afford, then, you could maybe start there.
Because that's a huge thing, isn't it? I think, it's being mindful that actually everybody needs this information, and everybody needs access to, and everyone deserves access to good quality foods. And yet what we are seeing out there is, a perpetuating problem of children, young people, families not being able to access good quality organic food. And so are people in the most deprived areas. We all know that Liverpool is one of those really deprived areas. They're not able to access organic foods because of the tight budgets that they're on, and because of the, so they're fed processed foods, which we all know aren't the best at all, because of this convenience, and because of cost, because the cost of living,
which is awful, because cost of living's just gone up.
You can't afford to buy a 10, 12 pound organic chicken.
No.
If you can get one there to feed your family for £3, so you almost don't have the option to buy this good quality produce, which is is heartbreaking. It's not that you don't want to. No. It's actually, affordability wise, you can't.
And no one's going to be rearing their own chickens, are they? Or have the time to have a vegetable patch.
No,
I'd have them, but I wouldn't then eat them. No. I'd name them all.
Exactly.
I'd have Mary. I'd have Bob.
Although Gordon Ramsay did that and still ate them.
Still ate them, yeah. No, I do. Oh, bless. So, if you could spill the tea with anyone, who would you choose and why?
I think it would be somebody like Peter Kay.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
I like that.
Oh my God. I love him. I think, just somebody who can make you laugh and has the stories. And I actually met him one time at the Lowry when I was working for O2. And we were all like that. And he was like that. Yeah, it is. It's Peter Kay. And he was just his authentic self. He is what he is, and he makes me laugh so much, and I think laughter is just the best medicine. So I'd go for Peter Kay.
You should have had your teapot and your tea bag there, and you could have fulfilled your dream. Imagine you're gonna have to have a backpack now with a teacup in just in case you ever meet him again. And just like, here you go. Let's take this opportunity to have a quick cuppa together.
Let's have a tea party. That's what me and you should do. Are you ready?
Carry it round.
Ooh.
A confession of a leading lady?
Oh, go on then.
Let's see what we've got today. I think I might know who this leading lady is.
Oh, it's not me.
And I think you might know who she is as well.
Go on.
Okay, so the title is The Great Underpants Incident.
Oh.
Yeah, are you intrigued?
I am.
Who it is. So, during a very serious online meeting with her executive team, she was in the middle of presenting a quarterly report when her husband walked in behind her in nothing but his underpants.
Classic.
She says, where am I? I'm going. In nothing but his underpants. He was searching for his clothes. Obviously, he was searching for his clothes because that's all my husband seems to do is search for something in the house. He's never walked behind me on a conference call with his underpants on. May I just add?
At
least he had them on. That could have been worse. I didn't notice at first, but the look of shock on my colleague's face tipped me off. Would you tell her? Would you say it if you were on that conference call? Would you say... You need to turn behind you.
Turn your video off.
You can actually turn it unless she was the host, and then no one would have been able to turn her video off. I turned around and there he was rummaging through a pile of laundry. I quickly turned off my camera, but the damage was done. Now it's a running joke to ask if my husband knows I'm on a Zoom call before we start any meetings. Has anyone else had any unexpected guests during a virtual meeting? Oh, good question.
I used to have my cat come on all the time, but it wasn't anything embarrassing. She would just know. She's no longer with us, bless. But she would know whenever Zoom was on. She'd come and she would sit and she'd put her head on my shoulder. So people would ask, if she wasn't there, where is she? And she would be. She'd come at some point. Yeah,
I love that. And did all of the meeting just go every time the cat appeared? Did they go,
There'd be lots of in the chat.
In the chat. I
do
love
miss
that.
the Zoom days.
Yeah. Cal, have you ever any confession to the Zoom?
Of course I have. Yeah. It was during lockdown. Again, the days of Zoom, and there's a downstairs toilet in our house, and the littlest one, Gracie, she was on the toilet downstairs. I was on the couch with the iPad or the laptop as it at the time, and she'd ran out of toilet roll. The downstairs toilet. So she commando crawled because I was on the Zoom, and it was only as she got up the stairs that I realised she was climbing up with her pants around her ankles up the stairs to the top toilet to go and get the toilet roll. But again, at the point you notice the damage is already done. I noticed her sort of sneak past a little bit, but I didn't realise that she was going right up the stairs. Bless her. So yeah, I don't think anyone was recording that meeting.
No,
but yeah, she is being on screen.
Too much.
The days of lockdown and screens, any opportunity, something could happen behind you, couldn't it? Kids appearing and God, it was hard work, that wasn't it? The world of online.
I actually faced my desk away from the door, so the door is nowhere to be seen, and I can actually see who's coming into the office now, and I can go.
Yeah, it's that face that we all do as well, isn't it? So I'm on a call now, and you sort of try and desperately.
Yeah, but do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to be professional here, sweetheart. Everything in your body's going, get out. But they carry on and on, don't they?
Should we have signs, shouldn't we, on the backs of doors? There's a Zoom-in program.
Oh, my kids wouldn't care about that. They'd be straight in.
Yeah, true.
I know there's a sign on the door, Mummy, but I just needed to...
Mine take it as soon as you get a phone call or you're on a meeting, they feel like they need to ask you for food or for anything, because they know the likelihood is that you're going to say yes just to get them out of the room.
So 100%.
It's tactical.
You're like,
that's really smart, isn't it? Yeah. Your kids are on it.
I know.
Like, they've got it.
I know.
Yeah. Right, she's not on the Zoom yet, Gracie. Just wait. Wait 1 more minute. Now. Let's all go in and get the crisp.
Another time as well, I was on a meeting on Zoom, and I heard this almighty bang from upstairs, and I was like, oh God, like, what is this? But you carry on, don't you, until said child, the oldest one, runs in and he's like, hey, Mum, something really awful's happened to Jess, and it wasn't my fault. And I thought, yeah, obviously now it is your fault. And what was the bang? Jess comes downstairs holding it. He'd managed to go in to try and scare her, which they do all the time. But as he'd gone in to try and go, rah, he'd pushed the door, and she was behind the door, so the door frame hit her in the eye, and her eye sort of ballooning in front of my face, and I was going to die. So at that point, I did do the right thing and say, I'm going to have to leave the meeting to go and sort out this. But what type of
take my child to A&E?
It wasn't my fault. Oh, yeah, I know.
Not great.
No, confessions.
Not great. So obviously, our closing tradition on the show, Ruth, we know you like your green tea, but if you were to make myself or Cal a nice cup of tea, how would you make it?
So if I was going to make you guys a cup of tea, it would be a tea bag.
Yeah.
I mean, I was brought up with the tea leaves in the teapot, but even my parents have now transitioned onto the tea bag.
Yeah.
I wouldn't time it like they do. Like, I couldn't even go home and make them a cup of tea.
Some of our guests actually
time.
Some of the guests
on the oven.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Some of our guests actually have to have a certain temperature as well. Like, there needs to be. And some of our guests have actually said they repeatedly boil the water, haven't they? Like, they have to do.
That would be Karen.
Yeah.
That would be Karen, who has been on your show.
Yeah.
Really?
She likes it super.
It was.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was her.
Yeah. She obviously has an asbestos mouth.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, I would. I'd boil. I probably wouldn't do it at 100 because I'm so used to doing green tea at 85.
Oh really? So you do know the temperatures of teas as well? Well, I'm awfully sorry, I've boiled your green tea today.
Well, it's all right. Put some cold in.
Did
with
you?
It. Yeah. Yeah, because green tea especially can be quite bitter, and I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, because they'll boil the kettle, pour that on top, and then So if I was going to do I'd probably do it at 90, and then maybe give it a minute and stir the bag, and then I'd put the milk in after.
Oh yeah.
Take the bag out and then
you're a me.
Yeah. Well done.
That's a good way.
You probably wouldn't ever want to ask me to make you one, because I don't think I've made a cup of tea in 15 years.
Wow.
Wow.
So all about the fruit teas.
Well, I had to go completely dairy free.
Of course,
I mean, I could have dairy now if I wanted to, but I don't. But for such a long time I couldn't have. So I stopped everything around a period of my life.
I feel like that could stop our little debate, couldn't it? If we just both go dairy free or having green tea or spilling green tea
though when I first started. Oh my God. I tried every flavour under the sun. Mandarin, lemon, and I was like, another load, another box in the cupboard that's never going to see the light of day.
Flavours though, that's the bit that gets me. They say that they're those flavours, and so you'd expect it because you like Mandarin. I love Mandarin, lovely. And then you're like, this is water. Like, this is not Mandarin. This is not like mixed fruit. So I feel like you just missold. So you sort of take umbrage with it from the very minute that you put it in your mouth, when you're like,
how dare
it's the colour of it. I'll grant you that. It is a mixed fruit colour. but it's not. It's just water.
And I always think like the fruit teas, they always smell.
Yeah.
So I have to put about 4 in a cup.
Oh, wow.
Or 4 tea bags. And then does it taste of it?
A bit of a
Does it taste of it then?
Well, I think there's certain brands that are nicer, like Pukka and Clipper. They only do nicer teas. And I think if anyone wants to experiment with green tea, who has a similar journey to me where I hated it with a passion, don't boil the water or put a bit of cold in first and try. So my first introduction was from a client told me rooibos green tea. So it's naturally caffeine free and it's very light. But Pukka do some nice, very light, mild green teas. They're not bitter. I think it's like sometimes when they use too much of the bitter leaf. Maybe when it's like cheaper.
Yeah.
And it just tastes awful.
For me, it just perpetuates that myth that like to have good, like for it to be good for you, it's got to taste a bit naff.
No. See, I crave green tea now, which is bizarre. Yeah. Actually,
maybe
it's all possible.
There's hope for you. There's hope for you.
It's all possible.
And you can change your taste buds by changing your microbes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you think all our microbes in our gut, like circa 38 trillion microorganisms, a lot of bacteria mostly, but they all eat different foods. That's why your gut microbiome will be very different to mine. So the more we give them this diverse food list, and we can do that like just a challenge of also how many vegetables should you eat in a week, or plants, at least 30 ideally in a week, to kind of build this diversity. And then they signal, well, they want feeding, don't they? So if you're constantly craving sugar, it's probably because you've got the wrong microbes in your gut that are going, well, you've not fed me today. I need some sugar. I'm used to the white carbs. Where are the white carbs? Yeah. So you can slowly, and I'd always say slowly, if you're having a beige diet and you want to get healthy, don't go from a beige diet to a rainbow diet overnight, because you will cause yourself your own IBS, as some of my clients have done previously. Oh yeah, well, you don't have the microbes to digest the food. So it's
you feel like you're going to come away from this show and just be like, wow, there's so much that needs changing. We are so broken.
Start slowly.
Just a little bit
at a time.
I love that.
But like if you don't like sauerkraut, just have a teaspoon a day and then build it up to 2 teaspoons. And
I feel like everyone can do a teaspoon, can't they? A teaspoon of green tea.
Because then you'll start to like, it's like with children, 10 times of introducing a new food before they'll actually accept it. Yeah. So if we go, oh God, he's not going to eat it. And I can remember my dad actually dousing my sprouts in tomato ketchup when they were cold and making me sit there.
Wow.
I tell this story a lot. Thanks, Dad.
Thanks, Dad.
Cruelty.
Child cruelty.
An incredible guest. An absolutely incredible guest. Thank you so much for sharing not only your own journey, but so much knowledge around how we can start our own journey.
Transformation.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
Do.
I'll
keep you tagged in my green tea.
Perfect. With your nose peg on.
Yeah. 1 teaspoon a day, followed by some sauerkraut.
I'm doing it.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was lovely. Thank you.